Welcome back, everybody, to another Developing the Leader Within podcast episode. Today, we're going to be talking leadership and kindness with Barbara. I'm excited for this conversation. Barbara, thank you so much for taking your
Yeah.
time to be with me and talk about this topic.
Yes, well, it's a joy and a pleasure to be here with you today, Enrique. It's a topic that is very close to my heart. I have been a kindness advocate since I think I was a child. I was told my entire life that I was too kind, too nice for this world. Um, and like we will be talking about leadership and kindness. And my life has always been the intention to demonstrate that you can be a kind and compassionate leader and even be more worthy of of carrying that name as being a leader or a manager or whatever, that there's always empathy and humanness in it. Otherwise you're not living up to the title you are carrying.
I totally agree. Now, folks, we're going to bring a lot of information, as you can tell right here, right now. This is something that we could talk about pretty much all day. But Barbara, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit of your background before we get
Okay.
started.
My life has been quite an adventure. I started a construction business when I was 28. My I grew up in a construction business. My parents ran a construction business, so I wanted to have my own business, and that was the thing that I was most familiar with. So I started my own business, and at the age of 32, I was married since 5 years then, and we had 3 children in 4 years. I was diagnosed with a stage 4 skin cancer. I was given 6 more months to live. So there I was, 32, and given 6 more months. I was, fortunately, I survived several surgeries and a year of chemotherapy. And mostly from the beginning, I kept a positive mindset. I was dedicated, committed to see my children grow up. The youngest was only 2 months old at that time. And I had two life lessons there. You could say the power of a positive mind. And secondly, it made me think a lot about my legacy at 32. I was thinking, like, what if I don't survive? Am I happy with the life that I lived? And the answer was no. Because then, like being faced with that so suddenly, I understood that mostly I lived up to the expectations of others. So that's where a journey started of self-development, of reading lots of books on spirituality, self-development, psychology, going to retreats, conferences, and really discovering, is it the construction business that I really, really want? And the answer was no. But of course, you have investments and you have to move on, and there's real life and there's money that has to come in. So I continued the construction business, but then at the side, I started following coaching certification courses and started like a coaching business as a side business. And then in 2016, 13 years later, I was I was still running the construction company, faced with the betrayal of two employees, which made me end up with huge financial losses. And I had to close my construction business. In hindsight, you could say it was the universe pushing me to do what my heart desired. So I had to reinvent myself. And I got quickly an opportunity to work with BMW, to work with them to do business coaching, quality management. After 6 months, I was part of the management team there. So I also do the soft skill HR side. So you could say BMW is one of my biggest clients as a coach. I do mentor people and guide people personally too. Then I founded an online school and my web shop. So I'm very passionate entrepreneur. And you could say my biggest lesson until now is you are never given a challenge that you cannot overcome.
That is wonderful. Now, I tell you, you just don't know everybody's story, right?
No,
I
no.
am so happy that, and I'm sure your family and everyone that has ever heard you speak, so happy that you did overcome that, that physical challenge.
Hmm.
And I couldn't imagine what it would be like if someone told me, hey, buddy, you have 6 months to live. What now? And so just hearing that, because everybody sees the glory of the person, right?
Oh,
They
oh
see the
yes. Oh
they
yes.
see
Oh
the
yes.
celebrations and the accolades and all this, and you just don't ever calculate what it took to get there. So thank you, first of all, for enduring that and overcoming. You mentioned something that was so true. Sometimes these life lessons will push you in a direction that you're
Yes.
actually meant to go. And I mean, they serve a purpose, right? The construction company
Yes.
served a purpose, and all of that experience led you to
Yes.
BMW and to all of those things. So we're talking leadership, and we're talking kindness. Where did kindness come into
Come in.
place, in your
Well,
life?
it was there all of the time, but I have seen it changed within myself, where you could say I was very long that person who maybe was too kind. That's one of the reasons I got betrayed by employees, because I was too, like trusted people too easily. So I learned my lesson, but it never, like not one event in my life had the power to poison me or to make me bitter or to make me, like negative about people, make me going to start hate. No, since childhood, I always had that within me, um, to not let it touch my heart, the purity in my heart. It's just something that's very difficult to explain. But I just had always that inner compass where I went back, and I have to say I was always a very spiritual person. And it's not like I want to talk about religion here, but I always had Jesus in my heart. And it's not like in business I'm going to talk about my faith or whatever, but that supported me through everything. And the kindness, becoming an advocate for kindness, that you could say that inner call became louder and louder every year of my life. Also, since I'm operating a lot in the corporate world, BMW, the automotive, is a male dominated world. And I can see all those alpha males in management, like board meetings and whatever. And I found my way in the last 5 years to stay very true to myself, but very powerful in a board meeting when everybody is boasting and they're all, like they're the best and they're fighting. And like to find my way to just have them shut up and just say my point of view and say, hold on, let's look at it. And being that calm and centered and kind person is a lot more powerful than all those people who need that, you could say, that boasting to be someone. And we are taught, unfortunately, that we only are someone if we have A's at school, if we get that degree, if we are the first in a running race, if we have the title, if we have the house, if we have the car. It's a big flat lie. You are someone. You are someone since you were born. Rich parents, poor parents, like whether you have a high IQ or a lower IQ, it doesn't matter. We are all born with a unique gift. And it's not because the world invented some system and some educational system that people who are more like intellectuals are evaluate how do you say that, evaluated higher than people who work with their hands. That's just a human invention. It's just silly. You know, like artists as valuable as a business person, as is a teacher, as is a baker. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you were born with a seed planted in your heart with that gift, that you nurture that seed and you gift the world with that. And if you are passionate about numbers and you want to become an accountant, that's fantastic. Maybe you're passionate about food and putting the love in the food and become a cook. But there's no hierarchy. We built that hierarchy. There's no hierarchy between humans. We are always from human to human. And a real leader, because I think at some point we're all a leader, whether it's in your family, whether you're a mom, you're a dad, you're a leader. In your community, whether you have a church community, you have another community, you're a leader. You can be a leader at work. You know, you need the title of manager to be a leader. You can be a natural born leader to help people, to support people. So I think that's something that is a misconcept. That once, first of all, that you need the title leader to be a leader, that you that some humans are superior to others because they have titles and material possessions. That's a misconception. And then, unfortunately, in business world, the concept or the paradigm is seen kindness is weakness. That a manager has to be tough and controlling and almost bullying to get results. I think more and more people start to realize that without empathy, you are not, you know, like you are not getting the results, because it's with the people and through the people that you get the results. And it's not about fake kindness. If you're only kind to have that result, well, you miss the point. People have a sixth sense when they are used. That is short term. And unfortunately, all, you know, like a lot of big companies are really short term and profit maximization. And that is what's brought the world where it is now. Planet exhausted, people exhausted, because it's based on a greedy system. But more and more people wake up and say, no. Now you see the great resignation. No, we will not participate in that anymore. And I think that's a wonderful sign. If there's something that this pandemic brought, is people thinking about, is this how I want to spend my life? In this environment, in a toxic work environment, in an environment where I'm only used, where I'm not appreciated for who I am. And that's what makes me, as you can hear, very passionate about kindness and seeing kindness as a strength. Kindness is a strength. If you can be the bigger person, if someone's rude to you and you can stay outside the rudeness and answer in a kind way, that's extremely powerful. Maybe you will disarm completely the person, maybe not, but in staying calm, since that person does not have the reaction of fighting, his anger will dissolve anyway, sooner or later. But the person who stays calm and centered and is not getting into the provocation is the powerful one, not the one who is aggressive. The aggressive one is the weak one, because apparently he only has his aggression to want to control an outcome. And I've always been the person of turn the other cheek. And in turning the other cheek, you are a lot more powerful than the one who is slapping.
Well, I for one, and I'll tell you, Barbara, that I'm happy to know where your source of kindness comes from, where it's at. Okay, so I subscribe to the same source, and so it is what truly allows me to be the type of kind person that is a controlled kindness, right?
Yes.
Your last piece there brought me back to uh, an event in my life when I was younger, where
Mhm.
someone came to me, provoking
Yes.
a battle, and I said,
Hmm.
no, I don't want to do that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I said it 3 times. I said, no, I don't want
Hmm.
to do that, very
Hmm.
calmly. And then that
Yes.
person, unfortunately, he found somebody in that same group
Let's see.
to fight with,
Uh-huh.
and they did get into a fight, and he did pummel the guy,
Hmm.
unfortunately. But in my and to my account, and in my stay, I was calm, and I was able to, like you said, it fizzled away. That anger, at least
Yes.
towards
Yes.
me, fizzled away. It landed on
Hmm.
somebody else, unfortunately.
Yes.
But we're talking about leadership, and in leadership, and just bringing in organizations right now, because you mentioned something that's very key, very happening right now. Everybody's calling it the great resignation. I
Hmm.
don't particularly like that, because people have not resigned without cause.
Yes.
They have just opened up their mind and their eyes to different possibilities, and the fact
Yes.
that they don't have to accept anything that gets thrown their way. And
Yes.
so that's not a great resignation. I would say it's more like a great awakening than
Yes.
anything else.
A great awakening.
But I just
That's a
saw.
beautiful name.
Thank you.
I love
I
that.
I saw, and this is why I bring it up. Yesterday, I saw a comment on
Hmm.
a, great resignation post, and they referred to folks as quitters. And so that is
Oh.
this
Oh.
is the world that we live in. You mentioned it, right?
Hmm.
There is this uh this element of living on this earth that just drives certain people to
Yes.
use their status and their level of or position as a way of thumping folks, right? Thumping
Yes.
people. Well, yeah. And so that I know that came from that type of feeling, and
Yes.
so I could
Yes.
recognize that, oh, this is just
Hmm.
someone that is probably used to thumping on folks, and so they would refer to this. When I see people standing up for themselves and
Hmm.
saying, I will no longer work for
Yes.
this, that, or the other that is not
Hmm.
serving me. It is not making me better. It is not
Hmm.
enriching my life. I don't feel like
Absolutely.
my contributions are valued, and that I am part of this organization as a team member. You're just using me, and I refuse to be used any longer. When I see
Absolutely.
somebody say that, that is one of the greatest strengths a person can display, when they can value themselves and
Absolutely.
tell you what the value is, right? And
Absolutely.
so so
Absolutely.
and so there are leaders out there that are trying to figure this thing out.
Hmm.
People are,
Absolutely.
they are leaving places that no longer value them, and so I say
Hmm.
congratulations, for getting there.
Absolutely.
So these leaders that are left now with the pieces to put together, because when there's
Hmm.
not that many people, you have challenges. How could they employ what we've been talking about, kindness? Because you mentioned kindness was in you. I
Hmm.
say kindness is in me.
Hmm.
There are some leaders that kindness is nowhere around.
Well, I think a lot, a lot of managers are between the board and between the people. No, like they are like pulled between both. So since the board is paying them, they wear a mask, many of them. I believe they are at the core, they are not like that. but they wear that mask of corporate, like, and we have to have that result. It's fear based. It's not in a place of love and creativity and, like, let's create these results, let's create something with this company. No, it's fear based. We have to get this number, we have to have that target, we have to get these results. So as long as you're fear based, you cannot open up, because you lead your life like this in fear. You're fearful. So to open up, you have to let go of that fear. So a lot of, even, like senior managers, they're even in fear for what the board stakeholders will say. So as long as they do not speak up for themselves, and at a higher level, those leaders say, look what's happening, we have to change. As long as they're, like a victim or a slave of the, I'm looking for the word because I'm Dutch speaking as a first language. As long as they, the results of the company, as long as they are enslaved by what is the Dow Jones, like all those results, if that is dictating our world, where's the humanness? So the humanness has to come back, and it's exactly that kindness and that humanness which will create even bigger results, because it will be based on innovation, creativity, on what people really have to offer, than rather putting all the people in a mold, in a very tight mold, and everybody has to follow that mold because that's the only thing we know, like result profit based, and it's dead. It's old school. It's an old model. And if we continue like that, well, I think it's just humanity destroying itself. So the kindness, and if people will need to reconnect with themselves first, to find that place first, to find that confidence first, and to let go of those old, you could say, beliefs, that old paradigm, I'm a manager, I have to behave in this way. Just leave that behind and connect, see the other person as a human rather as a means to a result. But that's a huge transformation. And the more people and the more leaders who will model that, the quicker it will happen. So you and me, we start modeling that for others. We are demonstrating in our life how it can be lived. So every child, every teenager, every young adult who sees that model before him, that you can answer rudeness with kindness, that you can answer competition with creativity. Every time they see that, we are shifting something in our consciousness, and we are making new models which are a lot better for a human in itself, but for all of humanity, and in the end for our planet.
And I fully agree with that. You mentioned modeling, you mentioned, hey, transformation. These
Mm-hmm.
are words that are action words, right? Something
Yes,
happening within you that is
yes,
propelling this action, this thing called kindness.
absolutely,
And we're
absolutely.
in this season, right? I see the
Yes.
tree in the background. It just makes you so happy.
Yes,
Holidays, and family gathering together as safely as they can, and
yes.
just sharing in what it is to be a human, and
Mm-hmm.
embrace each other, and just love on each other. It
Mm-hmm.
if there are leaders out there that are saying, man, that board relationship is really, really heavy on me, and yes, and they can say, yep, I wear that mask, yes I do,
Yeah,
I got to
yeah.
keep my job. How could they uh shelter? Because, okay, as a leader, you may get a direction, you may get bombarded with
Mm-hmm.
things, You have to produce this, 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 and that. But it doesn't necessarily need to trickle down to the team, right? They
No.
usually say the leader usually takes the brunt of the
Yes.
the
Yes.
mandates, and then they
Hmm.
present it in a way where
Yes.
the team can actually take action on it without feeling the pain. So for those leaders that cannot do that, that just kind of like push it down the road, the pain comes to
Yes.
me, it's gonna go to you. How could
Hmm.
they change some of the things that are affecting the workforce now that is making them realize, hey, I might need to go somewhere else. I might need to I might need to even be without a job for a little while until I find a
Yes.
place that will, cherish what I bring.
Yes, absolutely. And first of all, it's all about self-awareness. If you have no self-awareness and you're just living life as you think that everything that you were told is true, and you never question anything, like you never question a decision of the management, you never question, is this the right job for me? You never question, am I doing it in the right way? Am I bringing my message in the right way? Then you're kind of lost because you're sleepwalking through life. You're not really thinking for yourself. So it starts with thinking for yourself, having that self-awareness. First of all, do I want to spend my life in this way of being? Do I want to spend my life stressed and bullying others? Is that the legacy that I will be leaving? When I'm 90 years old and I'm laying on my deathbed and I look back at my life, is that what I leave behind? What is it that I want to leave behind? And I know what it feels like when you're in your deathbed. So what you think about is the lives you have touched. Have you touched them in a positive way? So I know that's what you think about. What is my legacy? You think about that. And maybe in your 30s and your 40s, when you're in the rat race, you don't. But I would urge everybody watching now who is in the rat race or who is overwhelmed or overworked, just think. Take a pause, breathe, and think, okay, do I want to be the yelling dad? Do I want to be the one who never visits his parents? Because I'm always working and thinking, oh, I want that promotion and that title is so much more important. You lose life in between. Live, live in the meantime. And um, I'm, like running my business, which has different pillars. I'm happily married for more than 20 years or even 25 years, I think. Mom of 3 young adults, like elderly parents. So I have a lot on my plate. It's not like I'm like I have a silver spoon and I'm up every morning at 6 a.m. Now it's, like 9 p.m. I'm still busy, but you can do it in a way that you're present. Being present doesn't mean that you're lazy and don't do anything anymore. No, it's just another way of being. You don't rush through the day. You are, like I'm very intentional. When I arrive at BMW, sometimes they call me Miss Sunshine, they call me Miss Positivity. I arrive and I'm very intentional about my smile, about bringing that energy into the room. So think with yourself, what energy am I bringing into the room? It's so important. Be intentional about it. And deep inside me, I always say I'm on a secret mission. Wherever I go, I bring love and light. And sometimes I have to translate that, like bringing love and light to mechanics is in a different language than bringing love and light at home. But that's the basic. And it all has different packages. And it can be just having a piece of cake with the mechanics and laughing, like having, and make them feel acknowledged, make them feel appreciated, make them feel like they are someone. And I can say, I can be very, how could you say, I don't accept excuses. It's not because I'm positive and kind that you can bullshit me. No, that's not the same thing. I can be very strict, but in a kind and gentle way, and say, just stop that. Like, you don't have to tell me I just don't believe a thing of what you're saying right now. But in the end, people respect you because you have that honesty, but you always see them as a human. And sometimes they call me Mama Barbara. Where I work, Mama Barbara, like the places I come, it's just, it's carrying that feeling of being a mom and saying, I see through you. I see you. Do not try, like, don't try to fool me. But having that, like that compassion. And if it's really a rotten apple, well, like, there's nothing to do. We don't accept that. Your place is not here then. Having that courage too.
I love that you mentioned love and light, right? Because kindness is a byproduct of love. Love being the
Yes.
foundational level there of where kindness comes from. Grace and mercy
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
longevity, all these things that we call fruits, come from love. And there's some people that just have not had it, cannot replicate it because they don't know what it is.
Absolutely.
And if you're a leader out there and you're listening and love is missing from your portfolio, then I encourage you, not only because it's the season where we spend most time with the families, but if you're interested in staying in your position any time, any length of time, love must be, and it's a foundational love. Love must be there.
Yes.
It has to be
Yes.
there.
Yes.
And a lot of people say, "Oh, I love my job," but they can't treat their team members with love. And you're like, what's your definition of love?
Yes. What's your that's what I was going to say. What's your definition of love? Love is always, you could say, a two-way. Like, it's always two-way, and it's always built on that foundation within you. You love first, even if the other one is not loving. You love because you are love. And if you have found that place, and if you didn't know it, if you have not been modeled it before, then I think one of the most powerful things is breaking a cycle. If you, as a child, I grew up in, one of my parents was alcohol addicted, and it was not the easiest childhood. But one thing that I definitely wanted was to break that cycle. I was not going to perpetuate what I had seen. That was an enormous motivator for me. And I have a very good relationship with my parents. There has a lot of forgiveness work within me, and that relationship is completely healed. And they are sober now, so that's great since a few years. But if you have had that, let that not be a reason to perpetuate it. Break that cycle. It's not because you have not known something. The source is you. The source is never outside you. You are the source of what you are looking for.
And I love you put it that way, because we make choices. We all make choices, and we could choose to be that type of leader that nobody wants to be around, or you could choose to be the type of leader that everybody wants to be around. And hopefully for the leaders listening, you're that type that everybody gravitates to, because not only do you bring love and light and kindness to the environment, but you perpetuate it, and so that everybody else can model it after you, and maybe they'll take some of that to their home and change the cycles in their home, and that's the greatest impact a person any leader
Absolutely.
could have is
Absolutely.
that they model a way where others can become better. Barbara, thank you so much for sharing your evening with me, talking about kindness. We end up talking about the root, which is love,
Yes.
and it's such a great time in our year, the
Yes.
December month where we celebrate so many holidays, all kind of coupled
Mhm.
up in one. But thank you so much. If someone wanted to get a hold of you to
Mhm.
provide some of that services that you provide, how would they
Mhm.
do that?
I think through LinkedIn is the easiest way. Connect with me through LinkedIn, send me a message. I'm very, like responding there.
Outstanding. Well, folks, we've been talking about leadership. We've been talking about kindness. I tell you that it's been great listening to you. I wish you and
Mhm.
your family the happiest of Christmases, and this
Yes. Thank
upcoming
you.
year may it be as prosperous, if not even more prosperous than it has this year. And I
Thank
wish you
you.
all safety and health. Folks, for all of you listening, I thank you for joining us. And you know how we close the show? Success to you.